Written by Sam Lake and Mickey Rotolati, Alan Wake has earned a cult following. The 2010 action-adventure game is praised for its lively visuals, sound, compelling narrative, and fluid pacing. The narrative of the game revolves around the protagonist, Alan Wake. A best-selling crime thriller novelist suffers from writer's block when his wife goes missing during a vacation. Alan's search for his wife lands him in a small fictional town named Bright Falls. He begins experiencing strange events that resemble his latest novel's plot. But the chilling fact is that Alan does not remember ever writing those events. In today's video, we will meet every enemy and creature Alan encounters in his quest. Kindly take a moment to press the like and subscribe buttons if you love our content. Now, let's start with today's video.
You can't do this! All I did was take the things you always wanted and never...
Major enemies: Mr. Scratch. The prime antagonist of Alan Wake's American Nightmare and Alan Wake 2 is Mr. Scratch. Alan Wake's identical villain has a dark presence. After Alan's wife Alice goes missing, the search for her leads Alan to the Dark Place. It's a supernatural place, an alternate dimension where works of art have the ability to rewrite and influence reality. In Alan Wake, when the real Alan places himself in the Dark Place to save Alice, Mr. Scratch appears to take the novelist's place in the real world. The fake rumors that say Alan has murdered Alice supernaturally create Mr. Scratch. He is known as a psychotic serial killer. Mr. Scratch is shown as a dark entity that possesses Alan in Alan Wake 2. He is shown as more animalistic and demonic than in the previous part. An FBI agent named Saga Anderson frees Alan from the Dark Place in 2023. However, after Alan learns about Alice's assumed suicide, Mr. Scratch possesses him. To save Alan from Mr. Scratch, Saga shoots Alan with a bullet of light in his head. Saga has discovered this object in a shoebox in the Dark Place. In Alan Wake, Thomas Zane is another important character. He faced the same fate as Alan 40 years ago. He was aware of Alan's decision to swap places with Alice in the Dark Place. Hence, Zane creates and introduces Mr. Scratch to Alan as his doppelganger, who would take Alan's place in the real world. Mr. Scratch appears as the main antagonist in Alan Wake's American Nightmare. After swapping places with Alice, Alan gets trapped in the Dark Place. 2 years pass, and the false rumors against him gain momentum. The rumor of Alan being a serial killer and that he killed his wife and all other missing persons from Bright Falls reaches Cauldron Lake. Using its power, the lake shapes reality according to these rumors and turns Scratch into a villainous entity. Scratch goes crazy and becomes a killer. Although Mr. Scratch is defeated physically, his soul returns in Alan Wake 2. After Mr. Scratch creates many obstacles for Alan and his friends, Alan gets a hold of the manuscript of his novel Return. He edits the manuscript and adds Saga Anderson's important character. Towards the end, Saga and Alan co-author a fresh ending to the novel Return. The following events lead to Saga using the bullet of light on Alan to neutralize the darkness. Mr. Scratch's character has some similarities with elements of the Lovecraftian mythos.
Muscle I'll unload right in your goddamn face! Stay right where you are!
Robert Nightingale. In the Alan Wake franchise, the concept of Taken has been explored. They are also called shaded individuals and are the mindless puppets and remains of people completely possessed by the dark essence. Their only purpose is to fight and serve the darkness. Robert, alias Bob Nightingale, a special FBI agent, lost his partner, Agent Finn, to the darkness. Finn became a Taken. This affects Nightingale, leading him to submit to alcohol. After getting thrown out of the FBI, Nightingale has dreams of Alan Wake. He begins to believe that Alan is responsible for what happened with Finn. While Nightingale tries to arrest Alan in Bright Falls, he falls victim to the darkness and becomes a Taken himself. After banishing the dark presence, Alan attempted to write stories again. The Cult of the Word kills Nightingale, who roamed the Dark Place for years. As a part of the Return story, Mr. Scratch revives Nightingale's body. He entrusts Nightingale with the task of finding the Clicker, a switch Alan could use to defeat the darkness. Confused and hallucinating, Nightingale finds himself on the shores of the Cauldron Lake. He's on his way to fulfill his task, But little does he know that he's being followed by the Cult of the Tree, a cult that protects Bright Falls and watery towns from the Takens. The cult traps Nightingale and sacrifices him. Before they finish their ritual, Saga Anderson and Alex Casey interrupt them. They take Nightingale's body to the morgue, where they find the pages of a manuscript hidden inside his chest. To everyone's surprise, Nightingale wakes up and manages to run away. With the help of the manuscript's pages, Saga chases him to the overlap, where she finally ends him. Dark Presence. The Dark Presence is also called the Shadow by the Federal Bureau of Control. The evil supernatural entity is the prime antagonist of the Alan Wake franchise, the main culprit behind everything. It's a thick fog of black smoke and shadow. The Dark Presence resides in the Dark Place, an alternate dimension underneath the Cauldron Lake in Bright Falls, Washington. The Dark Presence is why the Bright Falls people suffer from nightmares and outlandish incidents. The Cauldron Lake possesses reality-altering powers. While dominating the Dark Place, the Dark Presence has abused the lake's powers to influence writers and artists over the centuries to gain more power for itself. It wants to use that power to free itself from the bounds of the lake. Finnish filmmaker Thomas Zane is the presence of light trapped in the Dark Place. The Dark Presence is in a continuous struggle with him. The Dark Presence can achieve its goal of freedom only through the writer's works. The period of its existence is unknown, though it seems it was present even before the first piece of art was created. Zane arrived on the island located in the lake along with his wife, Barbara Jagger. His wife mysteriously drowns. Zane realized the connection between his art and the occurrences happening around him. He writes about his wife's reappearance. However, in a surprising twist, the woman who returns is not Barbara, but the Dark Presence using her form. Upon finding out that truth, Zane seals the Dark Presence in the lake, but has to sacrifice himself during the process. The Dark Presence continued with its attempts at freedom by rising again when the band Old Gods of Asgard and Alan Wake arrived in the town. The entity can be watched over the entire region and multiple people. It can travel through the shadows. It has the ability of super speed, exceptional strength, and durability. Nothing can harm the Dark Presence in the night. The entity also has the ability to possess living as well as non-living things, marking them as taken. It can also touch a person, erasing that person's memory and controlling them. The Dark Presence can control the Ravens and is a highly intelligent entity. Although the Dark Presence is the strongest entity in the entire franchise, it has certain restrictions in utilizing its powers. It cannot have its own creation. Instead, it can only use others' creations to alter reality. The Dark Presence cannot modify or change reality completely. It only manipulates existing things. The art that Dark Presence uses to alter reality must carry a strong emotional sense, and it should be in the form of a complete story with all the details about the events written in it. Since Cauldron Lake is located in Bright Falls, the Dark Presence's domination is restricted only to the town, and thus it wishes to be set free. Emile Hartman. Filmmaker Thomas Zane's assistant, Dr. Emile Hartman, is shown as an antagonist in Remedy, Connected Universe, and Alan Wake. Aware and influenced by Cauldron Lake's ability to warp reality, Emile Hartman decides to use its power for his own benefit. After Zane's wife, Barbara Jagger, is drowned, Hartman pursues Zane to resurrect his wife by using his art. Grieving, Zane does the same, but soon realizes his mistake and tries to rectify it. After Zane is gone, Hartman becomes a psychiatrist for struggling artists. He established a clinic at the Cauldron Lake Lodge for such artists so he could use their art to shape reality and gain from it. In the year 2010, Hartman invites Alice and her husband to get psychiatric care since Alan is facing serious writer's block. In Bright Falls, Hartman wrote 2 books over the years. The first was Creative Flow, and the other was The Creator's Dilemma. In Alan Wake, after Alice and Alan disappear, Hartman sends Ben Mott to find them. Ben Mott decoys Alan, saying Alice has been kidnapped and Alan has to hand over his manuscript in exchange for his wife. Hartman tries to convince Alan that he's having some psychotic issues because of the pain of Alice's death. However, Alan doesn't believe Hartman and escapes the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Meanwhile, the Dark Presence attacks the lodge. Hartman escapes and helps the local authorities to defeat Ben Mott. Though the Dark Presence has marked Ben Mott taken, he is killed by the Dark Presence. After the events of Alan Wake, Hartman is detained by the Federal Bureau of Control. FBC seizes all his research and property, but Hartman has been released. Hartman dives into the Cauldron Lake, surrendering to the Dark Presence, transforming him into the thing that was once Hartman. FBC takes a hold of him and brings him to their headquarters. In the year 2019, the Hiss and the Dark Presence met and attacked the FBC headquarters. The fusion of the evil entities inside Hartman turns him into the Third Thing, which is then finally killed by Jesse Faden, FBC director. Barbara Jagger. Finnish actress Barbara Jagger, alias Baba Jakala, moves to Bright Falls with her partner Thomas Zane. They plan to establish Ocean View Hotel, an artist commune there. The couple stay in Bird Leg Cabin on the island in Cauldron Lake. The beautiful actress has created with Zane and acted in Nightless Night and Tom the Poet. While searching for the lake's power on July 10, 1970, she drowns despite being a skilled swimmer. Zane is unsatisfied with the local law enforcement's response to his wife's death. Influenced by Hartman's persuasion, Zane writes to revive his wife. The Dark Presence takes Barbara's face and appears in Zane's wife. She coerced Zane to set the Dark Presence free through his writing. Zane realized his mistake. He kills Barbara, and on July 18th, he writes that he never existed, causing the lake to swallow Diver's Isle. It takes Barbara and Zane with it. While their souls sink deeper inside the dark place, Zane recounted a poem that created a small universe for him and Barbara to live in happiness and peace. The Dark Presence claims Barbara's body, and the bright light takes Zane's. Possessed by the Dark Presence, Barbara torments the people of Bright Falls. She also creates obstacles for Alan Wake using the army of Taken. She tricks Alan into writing a story for her in exchange for his wife Alice. But Alan realizes her lie, and before ending the story, he writes Thomas Zane to save him from Barbara. Alan embraces Barbara tightly and uses the clicker inside the hole in her chest. The bright light explodes, and her body vanishes. Ben Mott. The employee at the Cauldron Lake Lodge, Ben Mott, appears as one of the normal antagonists in Alan Wake and Psycho Thriller. He is of the Caucasian race and has black hair. He generally wears a camouflage outfit with brown boots and a gray hat. After he turns into a Taken, his skin looks gray and his body is covered in darkness. Ben's suffering from low self-esteem results in him being very aggressive and unstable. His situation led him to constantly seek to please the only father figure in his life, which is his employer, Dr. Emile Hartman. Mott always needs Hartman's approval for everything he does. Ben has no trust in the government. Hartman uses Ben to do his dirty work, such as stalking people, watching the wakes, etc. On Hartman's command, Ben blackmails Alan, who is faking his identity as Alice's kidnapper. He asks Alan to meet him at Lover's Peak. Alan gets attacked by a group of Taken, but Matt appears and saves him. Ben asks Alan to hand over the completed manuscript of Departure or be ready to see his wife's dead body. While waiting for Alan to finish the manuscript, Ben encounters Robert Nightingale, an FBI agent in Elderwood National Park. Mott waits for Alan at the Mirror Peak lookout when he gets attacked by the Dark Presence in Barbara's form. Frightened, Mott pleads for help from Alan and also confesses his lie about kidnapping Alice. Before Alan can do anything to help Mott, the Dark Presence turns into a huge tornado and tears Mott into pieces. Alan then falls into the lake. Mott turns into a Taken. He attacks the Cauldron Lake Lodge, where Hartman fools him. Mott kills Rudolph Lane instead of Hartman. Mott gets Hartman at the sundial in the lodge and is about to kill him. Hartman uses his cunningness and says he's proud of Mott. He gives Mott one last task and asks him to kneel before him. Given Mott's personality and constant need to seek Hartman's approval, he complies. Hartman uses that opportunity and throws a flare at Mott. The deputies arrive at the right time and fire at Mott, killing him. Common Taken types. The Taken have various types that appear in the game. Assault Taken. Assault Taken is a large and bulkier Taken, and enemies in Alan Wake. They are human-like in appearance. They are possessed and controlled by the Dark Presence. They have two forms. In the first form, they carry axes, while in the second form, they have chainsaws. Those with chainsaws are able to kill the opponent in only 2 hits. They're strong enough to resist more damage than the normal Taken. However, the other form, the axe-carrying Taken, is not as strong, though they are agile and fast. They need to be killed quickly without wasting more batteries and ammo. Common Taken. They are the prime form of Taken. Most of these common takers used to be hunters, loggers, or campers. They get touched by the dark presence and become the Common Taken. Using throw hatchets and knives, the Common Taken can attack the player. However, they couldn't do that in Alan Wake's American Nightmare. It might be because a new type of Taken is introduced in there, named the Grenadier. Invisible Taken. This form of Taken makes its appearance in the signal only. Invisible Taken are different from the common Taken since they have a shield of darkness around them. This shield not only protects them, but also makes them almost invisible. Thus, like sprinting teleflankers, Invisible Taken appears to have a blurred outline. They can be sensed using the contorted, grave breathing sounds they produce. They share many similarities with the creatures from Alan Wake 2, The Shadows. They both reside in the dark place. Other Taken variants. Apart from the common Taken, they also have other variants. Painted. These enemies appear in Expansion 2, The Lake House. These Taken have distinct visual appearances and show a unique tactical behavior. Most of the time, the Painted hide in canvases and painted walls. Their vibrant and colorful appearance helps them blend into their surroundings. They wait patiently to attack any natural victims. Bullets and light fail against them. However, the Painted can be dazed by flashbangs for a brief period of time. The only weapon against the Painted is black rock powder, which can kill them. Flanker. A flanker is a weak and smaller form of Taken. They are quicker in pace and action. They usually move in circles around the player. Sensing the right time, they attack from unexpected angles. Small knives and sickles are their usual weapons against the opponent. These regular Taken use axes for melee, and for throwing, they use pickaxes. Due to their weaker and smaller form, they are very easy to destroy. Yet the player needs to be aware of their surroundings. Teleflanker. In Alan Wake, Teleflanker is another form of Taken. They are more agile and fast. Although they appear in shadowy humanoid forms, they look only like a blurred line when they sprint at their fast speed. They attack with a single strong stab or with 3 slashes. They usually attack together with other Taken. Quick reflexes are necessary to combat them. The protective shield of darkness is wrapped around them. This shield can be removed from them using a flashlight. After they're exposed and stop moving, they need to be shot until their death. Splitters. This form of Taken is introduced in Alan Wake's American Nightmare. They look like large amorphous masses of darkness. Unlike other Taken, this form does not have a protective shield of darkness around them. When bright lights fall on them and they get damaged, they split into 2 parts. The division continues if exposed to the bright light for a longer time and progressively becomes more agile. They're named Taken Throwers in Alan Wake 2. Supernatural entities and objects. Liquid Darkness. Liquid Darkness cannot be completely considered as a Taken, but it is an enemy that acts like a trap. Walking into Liquid Darkness results in immediate damage. It appears in various sizes. True to its name, this enemy is in the form of sludge. It can control and animate non-living objects. Bright light can destroy the Liquid Darkness. Poltergeist objects. When the dark presence takes over everyday non-living objects, they become poltergeists. They appear throughout the game, but begin attacking Alan only in Episode 3, Ransom. They're coated with a dark aura. Minor poltergeists consist of oil drums, tires, and other small objects. They need to be killed the first time they try to attack. Some bigger objects, like cement pipes and train wreckage, take longer to defeat. A large vehicle like a bus or monster truck that has turned into the poltergeist needs boosted light, flashbangs, or flares to be defeated. A usual flashlight is ineffective against these giant objects. Tornado. The Dark Presence controls Tornado. Appearing for the first time in Alan Wake's Nightmare, the Tornado acts as an enemy in the game. In the episode Ransom, the Dark Presence uses Tornado to kill Ben Mott. In the episode The Clicker, the Tornado attacks Alan, Sarah, and Barry by throwing objects at them. In the same episode, the Tornado chases Alan when he crosses the dam to reach Cynthia, Barry, and Sheriff Breaker. At the end of the game, the player needs to shoot 3 flares into the Tornado to destroy it. Creatures and animal. The Dark Presence can control not only humans, but also animals and creatures. In Alan Wake's American Nightmare, the spiders are introduced as new enemies. These spiders are mentioned in one of the pages of the manuscript written by Alan Wake. They're part of the fauna of the Dark Place. They managed to move through the opening and are a form of Taken. Shooting or burning them with light can destroy them. However, killing them is not simple, since these spiders are always found in groups. Ravens. Another kind of enemy in Alan Wake is the ravens, also known as birds. The Dark Presence possesses the ravens just like it possesses humans. Although these ravens are not individually strong, they are stronger as a group. An enemy named Birdman appears in Alan Wake's American Nightmare and can shift into several ravens. They're particularly dangerous on narrow alley paths or while facing other Taken. Killing them with conventional weapons is quite difficult, but they have one important weakness. They are highly sensitive to the light. Thus, using a flashlight or a fire gun, they can be killed. Bosses and special enemies. Alan Wake is more challenging because of the inclusion of other special enemies and bosses. The Birdman. The enemy in Alan Wake's American Nightmare, known as the Birdman, replaces Alan Wake's teleflanker to a certain degree. They have a hunched posture. These enemies do not have a protective shield or darkness around them. They can transform into a flock of ravens within a moment. They use this ability to survive dangerous situations or minimize distance. Since the Birdmen are stronger than a common Taken, they resist attacks more. They make distinct crow-like sounds and screechings while attacking. The Birdmen are also featured in Alan Wake 2's prototype demo, in which the Birdman appears as a man covered in a coat. The Birdmen can attack or use the objects in their raven form. The Giant. The Giant is an enemy that appears only in Alan Wake's American Nightmare, and it is a special form of Taken. The Giant is a tall humanoid, much taller than Alan Wake. He's physically the strongest and largest among all Taken. The Giant's weapon is a large concrete saw capable of easily killing Alan. The Giant has significant strength and cannot be harmed easily with normal attacks. This kind of enemy has a shield of darkness around them. This shield protects the Giant from all attacks. To kill the Giant, Alan has to first destroy the shield. The Hitchhiker. Alan Wake created this fictional Caucasian character. He appears as a minor enemy in Alan Wake. The Hitchhiker has blonde hair, and he usually wears dark blue colored pants, the same colored quarter-zipped pullover, and a light brown coat. He also wears black shoes and a black woven cap. His attire and appearance become darker after being possessed by the Dark Presence. Most of the Taken are unable to communicate properly, but the Hitchhiker is an exception. He can have a proper communication. It might be because he is not real, but only a fictional character in Alan's mind. The Hitchhiker also reflects Alan's subconscious thoughts. Even though he is Alan's creation, his attitude turns bitter toward him after getting possessed by the Dark Presence. He insults Alan's writing quality and claims they have no artistic merits. In his opinion, the only reason behind Alan's success is the efforts of his editor. The Hitchhiker also accuses Alan of playing with people's lives with his writing. In one of Alan's nightmares, he hits a hitchhiker with his car and kills him. The dead body surprisingly disappears. Upon the hitchhiker's return, Alan realizes the Dark Presence has taken over the man. While taunting Alan, the hitchhiker attacks him with an axe. Alan soon realizes he is a character from one of his stories. The hitchhiker shifts into a dark tornado. Clay Stewart saves Alan, but gets killed by the hitchhiker in the process. While the hitchhiker torments Alan, a light saves him and equips Alan with weapons and a way of killing the enemy. On his way to the lighthouse, Alan faces many replicas of the hitchhiker. After Alan reaches the building, the hitchhiker turns into a dark tornado again. He chases Alan, but the latter finds refuge inside the building. Miscellaneous enemies. Birch. Birch works as a male nurse under Dr. Emile Hartman at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. He is a Caucasian with a good build and gray hair. His attire is a long-sleeved white shirt and turquoise pants complemented by a black belt. He puts a pen in his shirt's left pocket. After the Dark Presence possesses Birch, he carries an axe as a weapon. His skin becomes pale, and his form is covered in darkness. Birch's personality complements his profession as a nurse in a psychiatric institution. He is patient and very professional while handling the patients. He is a loyal employee of Dr. Hartman and fulfills all his orders. Birch loses his personality and humanity after becoming a Taken. Like most other Takens, he is not efficient in communication. Emile Hartman finds Alan at the shore of Cauldron Lake. He brings Alan to Cauldron Lake Lodge in the hope of gaining control over him. Dr. Hartman informs Alan's literary agent, Bart Wheeler, that Alan is at the lodge. When Wheeler arrives to meet Alan, Birch captures and locks him in an office. Alan gains consciousness. Hartman tries to convince Alan that everything he has experienced recently are hallucinations. The reason behind these hallucinations is Alice's death. Hartman also tells Alan that he has been a patient at the lodge for quite some time. Birch is entrusted with watching Alan when Nurse Sinclair asks for help with the Anderson brothers. They're creating chaos, a distraction that allows Alan to escape. The dark presence takes over the lodge and also Birch, converting him into a Taken. In his attempt at escape, Alan faces this Taken Birch and Ravens in a hedge maze. Alan kills Birch there. Birch has a shield of darkness around him and is usually chaperoned by a flock of Taken ravens. He is generally a slow mover, but gains speed when he's near. He is strong enough to kill the player easily, and the birds help. To defeat Birch, it's necessary to handle the birds first and then take care of his dark shield. Deputy Sheriffs. Deputy Sheriffs working in Bright Falls appear as enemies in Episode 3 Ransom. FBI agent Robert Nightingale is on a hunt for Alan. He tries to arrest him, but Alan opposes. Nightingale decides to take help from the sheriff's station in Bright Falls. He calls the entire station and tasks them with finding Alan. Equipped with flashlights and hunting rifles, they begin their search in the forest. Yet Alan again manages to escape. However, most of the deputy sheriffs fall victim to the Taken before they are converted into them. In the next part of the game, these Taken deputy sheriffs are seen battling against Alan. Danny. Danny appears in Episode 4, The Truth of Alan Wake. Although he finds his first mention in the previous episode, Ransom, he is an assault Taken. He attacks his friend Walt Snyder near the Anderson farm that the Anderson brothers own. He attacks with an axe. Danny kills Walter when Alan walks over to them. Alan then uses a revolver to kill Danny. Fade-outs. Fade-outs are called shadows in the game. They appear as enemies in Alan Wake 2 and stay in the dark place under the Cauldron Lake. The humanoid entities are dark, shadowy silhouettes. They keep fading in and out of existence. They're unable to see but detect the player using some other techniques, like coming closer if the player creates noise or uses a flashlight. They usually recite Alan Wake's name and the words from the videos narrated by Alan, writer's journey. However, they also express that they do not want to be a part of the story. Interestingly, all fade-outs are not hostile in nature. Normal shadows fade if a flashlight is shown on them, whereas the hostile fade-outs remain. Exposure to light for a longer time aggravates these hostile fade-outs. 4 types of fade-outs are shown in the game: non-hostile fade-outs, hostile shadows, heavy shadows, and glitching shadows. Heavy shadows are the type that demand active fighting. They can wrestle the player and knock them down with melee attacks. They also attack using darkness projectiles. These projectiles chase the player and explode when they are near the player. Their speed can be reduced by using a flashlight, but needs flashlight boost to destroy them. These heavy shadows have a protective darkness shield. After the shield is peeled off, the enemy takes a human form and becomes vulnerable to any weapon. Glitching shadow is a second type of the hostile shadow. They have the ability to teleport, which is also known as glitching rapidly. They leave an after image behind while glitching. It can be used to track them. Ducking their first attack is an effective technique to make them vulnerable since they cannot instantly stop. Grenadier. A new type of Taken, Grenadier, is introduced in Alan Wake's American Nightmare. These enemies have weaker dark shields. It's weaker than even flankers, and thus has low health. Grenadier attacks the player by throwing a grenade. The grenade they use looks similar to a flashbang. It explodes in a little blast of darkness. The Grenadier damages other Taken if they come in his path. Hiss. The prime antagonist in the video game Control is named Hiss by Federal Bureau of Control's director Jesse Faden. The Hiss is a hostile supernatural force of resonance. Hiss's origin traces its roots to Alan Wake. Alan Wake greatly influences the supernatural force. It arises when Alan rewrites the reality in the dark place. He creates a crisis for the Federal Bureau of Control and its director Jesse Faden. The Hiss shares many similarities with the Dark Presence. The force is formless, unseen, and otherworldly. Just like the Dark Presence, the Hiss has the ability to possess living and non-living things, compelling them to become its slaves. Marvelous verdict. All of these enemies contribute to the flawless pacing of Alan Wake, making it one of the most popular video games. So that's it for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. Comment your favorite enemy and about your experiences playing Alan Wake in the comments. We'll see you in the next one.